Dispatcher that I had located the dog. Stood by with the dog. It was sitting on the porch, continuing to lick the blood off its paws. While standing there, I was met with Officer B. Jackson, who stood by with me with the dog.
And did you see any collar on this dog?
No, sir.
And how big was this dog?
I'm just guessing probably around 45 to 50 pounds.
And how tall was it?
About up to my knees.
How tall are you?
6 foot.
And did you see any blood anywhere else?
Yes. After the dog was taken away by animal control, we went back to the scene and saw drops of blood on the porch where the dog was sitting.
And how far from the intersection where the child was to the porch where this dog was found?
It was less than a block away.
And why did you think this dog played a role in the attack?
It was covered in blood.
Did any witnesses say?
Yes, when I first arrived at the house, there was a group of 2 or 3 people that were also standing by, and they advised this to the dog.
And eventually, you said animal control came out. What happened between you arriving and animal control coming out?
At one point, what was later identified as Mr. Tucker drove up in a silver sedan. He stated that's his dog. He then began to call the dog by its name, Zeus. Sorry. Trying to get the dog inside the car or away from the porch. We gave him verbal commands to stop, and he drove off.
And that dog, the name is Zeus?
Yes, sir.
Z-E-U-S?
Yes, sir.
And were you there when this person was calling Zeus?
Yes, sir.
And so you saw the man calling Zeus?
Yes, sir.
Do you see that man in court today?
Yes, sir.
Can you please point to him?
Yes, sir.
Can you please describe what he's wearing?
He's wearing the blue Fulton County jumpsuit, a white shirt underneath.
Your Honor, please let the record reflect that Officer Duncan has identified Cameron Tucker.
So noted.
And I have in my hand what I've previously marked as State's Exhibit 1. I'm showing it to defense counsel. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, you may.
Showing State's Exhibit 1 to Officer Duncan. Do you recognize this?
Yes, sir.
What does the picture depict?
It shows myself along with Zeus, the dog,
And when was this picture taken?
on the same day as the incident.
And does this photograph fairly and accurately depict the dog known as Zeus?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, State moves State's Exhibit 1 into evidence.
So, Axum, any objection?
No.
Exhibit 1 for the state submitted.
Can you please describe what you see on Zeus?
Yes, sir. It shows the white flash of his chest. You can see what appears to be blood, red stains on the white part of its chest and throat.
And you eventually shot this dog, correct?
Yes, sir.
And why did you shoot the dog?
The dog began to leave the porch. We still were waiting for animal control to come and restrain the dog. The dog was moving towards myself. Out of fear for my safety and the safety of the people that were still in the area, I shot the dog.
And why did you fear for your safety?
The dog was coming towards me, and it was covered in blood. So,
No further questions at this time, subject to redirect.
Mr. Axum, your witness for cross.
Officer Duncan, right?
yes, sir.
Yes, okay. If I put any question to you that you don't understand, stop me and just get me to clarify.
Yes, sir.
I won't keep you long. I want to talk with you about the verbal commands and your interaction with Mr. Tucker. You say he pulled up in a silver sedan.
Yes, sir.
Was he driving?
I cannot recall if he was driving or not. I just know he exited the vehicle.
Okay. So when he gets there, is your gun drawn at that point?
Yes, sir. It was out of the holster.
Okay. And the gun is pointed at the dog?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what did you all say? You said y'all gave him verbal commands. Did you give any verbal commands?
Yeah, Officer Jackson advised the defendant to get back in the car. At one point, I also yelled to get back in the car
Okay,
because we were afraid that the dog would leave the location.
okay. But that was it? You all
Yes.
said, I mean, were you all polite? Were you under stress? Tell me what the exact words were.
Well, they were loudly given, yelled commands. So it was a high stress situation. When he arrived, escalated it.
And did anybody explain to him what was going on?
No, sir, we did not have the opportunity to.
Okay, so when he gets there, he sees you with your gun drawn, and he sees his dog with blood on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he tried to call his dog, and you all gave him verbal commands to get back in the car.
Yes, sir.
All right. Did he argue with you all?
No, sir, he did get back in his car and he drove off.
Okay. Did he say anything to you all other than trying to call his dog?
He did make a comment in passing about APD's going to shoot my dog.
Okay. Was that it? That was the only interaction you had with Mr. Tucker?
Yes, sir.
You didn't do the arrest?
No, sir.
Never been into the house?
No, sir.
Okay. The dog that you saw on the porch, describe him for me. You've already described that he's covered in blood, but describe his demeanor.
He was sitting on the porch the entire time for the most part, sitting, laying down, going back and forth between the two for about an hour.
Okay. Did he look like he had been in a fight?
Yes, sir. He did have the blood on him. Like I said, he was licking the blood off of him.
Okay. Did he have any cuts
No, sir.
on him? No open wounds?
No, sir.
What about his physique? Could you see his ribs? Did he look malnourished?
No, sir.
Okay. He looked like otherwise a healthy dog.
Yes, sir.
All right. No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Brewer?
No, Your Honor.
All right. May this officer be released, or any objection, Mr. Jackson? No. Thank you, Officer Duncan. You're free to go. Your next witness?
State Calls Detective Andre Lowe.
Face me, raise your right hand. Do you swear or promise testimony you give to the court is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
Please be seated. State and spell your first and last name for the record.
Detective Andre Lowe, A-N-D-R-E-L-O-W-E.
Good morning, Detective Lowe.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. Where are you currently employed?
The Atlanta Police Department,
In what division of the Atlanta Police Department are you employed?
the homicide unit,
And how long have you been in the homicide unit?
for about a year now.
And are you currently post certified?
Yes.
And have you been post certified for all of 2017?
Yes.
And do you recall investigating the death of a child that happened at 86 Cerro Street?
Yes.
And when did you start your investigation of that?
I believe the date was January 17th around maybe 5 p.m.
Okay. And where did you start your investigation?
At Mr. Tucker's house.
Is that 172 Chickamauga Avenue?
That's correct.
And 172 Chickamauga Avenue, is that in Fulton County?
It is.
And the name of the child that deceased in this case, do you know the name of that child?
Logan Bratz.
Okay, and that last name is B-R-A-A-T-Z?
That's correct.
All right. And how did you proceed with your investigation?
Initially, when we got out to 172 Chickamauga, we obtained a search warrant for the house. It was myself, another investigator, as well as animal control, and all in that search of the house.
All right, and how far is 172 Chickamauga from 86 Cerro Street?
It's about less than a mile.
All right.
I can't give an exact distance, but I know it's not a mile.
Okay, no problem. And so you got a search warrant, and did you search the whole house?
Yes.
And what did you find in the house?
In the house, we recovered a blanket that had little spots of blood on it in the basement, as well as a tethering ball that was on a tree in the backyard.
And this blanket, were you able to determine like what type of blanket it was, whether it's for kids, for animals, or what?
It looks like a blanket that you could probably that a child or an animal could sleep on.
All right. And did you find anything else there at the house besides this blanket and the ball?
No,
All right. Did you inspect the fence, or was there a fence there?
there was a fence.
And how tall was this fence?
The fence was probably between my knee and my waist in height.
Could you stand up and indicate on your body where it is?
Probably between my middle thigh up into my waist. Is probably how high the fence was.
And what type of fence was this?
Chain fence.
Chain link?
Yes.
And did you see any defects in the fence?
I didn't per se see any because I wasn't out there taking pictures of the fence. Another detective was out there, but he did mention maybe a few holes in the fence.
And what was this detective's name?
Logan.
Okay. And did he say how big the holes were?
He did not.
All right. Did you find any sort of medicine there for the dog?
I didn't.
And did you ever talk to Mr. Tucker?
I did.
And do you see Mr. Tucker today here in court?
I do.
Can you please point to him?
To my left,
Please describe what he's wearing.
white T-shirt with a blue jumpsuit over it.
All right, please let the record reflect that Detective Lowe has identified Cameron Tucker.
So noted.
And what did Mr. Tucker say about this incident?
Mr. Tucker told me that he woke up that morning to get ready to go to work. He let the dogs out in the backyard, used the bathroom. He went while he was taking a shower. When he came out, he noticed that his dogs were gone. He started screaming and yelling. I think it actually woke up his mother-in-law. At that time, he was getting ready to go to work. I think his Uber driver may have came at the same time. His Uber driver drove him around to look for the dogs. And I think they ended up finding the dogs somewhere on Giddens or Thurgood Street, which is also not far from his house. And he said that the officers directed him to go back to his house after that.
And did he talk about any previous incidents with Zeus?
Was Zeus?
Yes.
I don't believe.
Did he talk about any previous incidents with other dogs?
He did talk about an incident with another dog.
And what did he say about that previous incident?
He said he owned a dog before that actually has bit him, that he put down.
Did he say why he put the dog down?
He didn't.
Did he say how long ago this bite was?
I don't recall how long it was.
And did he say anything about the blanket?
He said the dog, his previous dog, he had taken it to the vet, and somehow some kind of procedure went wrong, and the dog ended up internal bleeding and ended up dying from that.
And have you learned anything about Mr. Tucker's, how he cared for Zeus in terms of medication or the vet?
Well, I haven't, as far as my own investigation, I haven't found anything.
Okay. And what's the cause of death of Logan Bratz?
Bite from a dog.
And have you contacted Animal Control about Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
And were there any incidents involving Mr. Tucker?
No, they said they haven't had any previous incidents with his name nor his address.
And do you know who Shamonte Clayton is?
Yes.
And who is he?
He's a witness that we spoke to when we canvassed the neighborhood.
And what did he say when you canvassed?
He talked to Detective Griffin, and Detective Griffin advised me that he pretty much told him that he heard children screaming. He came outside. He saw a dog attacking another child. He ran towards that child, and the dog ran away. He said moments later, he said he heard other kids screaming behind a vacant house. At that time, he ran to behind the vacant house where he saw Logan with a black dog with a white chest over on top of him. And he picked up Logan and brought him to the front of the house for EMS.
Okay, Logan, the child.
Yes.
And when Mr. Tucker talked about letting out the dog to the backyard, did he say whether anyone else was watching the dog?
No, he did not.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor. Subject to redirect.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, your witness for cross.
It's Detective Lowe?
Yes.
Okay. If I put a question to you that you don't understand, just stop me and I'll try to clarify for you, okay?
Okay.
I want to start with the beginning of your investigation. How many investigations have you done in your career?
I've done numerous investigations.
Okay, are we talking tens, hundreds, just ballpark?
As far as in just period, all investigations.
Well, yeah. Homicide or manslaughter, those types of investigations.
Homicide, I've been.
There's a death involved.
Let's see, we had over 100 last year, so I mean, I was probably the lead on maybe 10 to 12 of them.
Okay. And then tell me how you go about doing your investigation. What do you do first?
As far as our investigation, we identify what's going on.
Okay. And then what do you do?
We put a plan together as far as what we're going to do next.
Okay. And so you apply for search warrants and things like that,
Correct.
and that comes out of your plan.
Correct.
All right. Once you've done that, at that point, do you have a theory that you're working on, a hypothesis? What are you doing at that point when you go and apply for the search warrant?
Usually there's a theory or something, like I said, some kind of hypothesis that we look at.
Okay. And then once you have formed that, you're going to try and prove that, or are you going to try to disprove that? What are you actually doing when you do your investigation?
We try to prove or disprove.
Okay. January 17th, when did you first get involved in the case?
Probably about 5 p.m. that afternoon.
Okay. And what did you do first?
First, we drove out to the house.
Okay. Did you interview anybody?
I did.
Who'd you interview?
I believe Mr. Tucker's fiance.
Okay. Who else did you interview?
That's the only person I interviewed.
All right. So after you interview her, what'd you do next?
At that time, the search warrant was signed, and we did a search of the house.
Who applied for the search warrant?
I believe Detective Lindsay.
Okay. Did you help with that? Were you there when Lindsay applied for the search warrant?
I wasn't.
Do you know what was in the search warrant?
I've read the search warrant.
Okay. Did you all discuss it before Lindsay applied for it?
No.
Okay. What was in the search warrant? What were you all looking for?
We were looking for, I guess, anything that was related to dog fighting stuff, medicines to cure dogs, electronic equipment.
Okay. And why would you be looking for electronic equipment?
In case if there was any kind of dog fighting going on, that maybe it'd be recorded or video.
Okay. So at 5 p.m., after you've interviewed Tanya Logan, you all had a theory that this was possibly a dog fighting owner of a dog. Is that right?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay. But it was one of you all's hypotheses?
Well, it wasn't per se my hypothesis. Like I said, the search warrant and everything that was taken care was done before I even got on scene.
Okay. But you all were looking for those types of items?
We
Is that
were.
right? Okay. And you go into the house, what time does the search warrant get approved? Do you know?
I don't have it in front of me. We wrote it down. I don't have it in front of me.
Well, just estimate. So you get to the house at 5, and how long are you there before the search warrant? Are you there an hour, 15 minutes? How long before you're allowed to go into the house? And
Just about an hour or so.
okay. And when you go in, where do you go? What do you see?
As far as what?
You walk into the house. Tell me what you see.
I see it. I go in, there's a sofa to the left, TV in the house, it's a kitchen in there, there's bedrooms.
Okay. Was there anything when you walked in that you said, you tagged it and said, we need to take that with us?
There was a blanket downstairs in the basement.
Okay, well, we're still on the first floor. We'll get to the basement. But on the first floor, you're looking around. You said you looked in the kitchen, living room, you see the couch, you see the bedrooms. You walked into all of those rooms.
Right.
Okay, was there anything that you took out of those rooms?
We took cell phones, 2 cell phones, I believe.
Okay. Anything else?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. Have you had a chance to look through those cell phones?
I haven't.
Okay. You all still have them in police custody?
Yes.
All right. So you leave the upstairs. I take it there's nothing else that you all secure upstairs. You all head downstairs.
Correct.
What is downstairs?
Downstairs, there's a basement. Looks like maybe the dogs have been down there a while because you can smell dog odors.
Okay.
There was a blanket down there that had some spots of blood on it.
All right. When you're saying spots of blood, how big are we talking about?
I guess maybe size of your hands balled up, maybe,
So a fist?
or smaller.
Okay. Are we talking about a quarter, a nickel, a penny, dime? Bigger than all of that?
Maybe a little bit bigger than a quarter.
Okay. And how many spots did you see on this blanket?
I couldn't estimate how many.
All right, but it was just the one blanket that you all secured from the basement.
That's correct.
Anything else?
From the basement, no.
All right. Did you see, you said you were looking for medication.
Correct.
Did you all take any medication from the house?
No, we didn't.
Okay. Any syringes?
No.
All right. So if I'm right, the only thing that y'all took were 2 cell phones and a blanket
That's inside of the house.
inside the house. Okay. I take it after that you all went around the house and examined the house.
Correct.
What did you all find around the house?
We saw the fence. We noticed the fence, like I stated earlier. The height of the fence, and right in his backyard, there's a tree that has a rope with a tethering ball on it.
Okay. And you say a tether ball. What is a tether ball?
A ball that is used for, I guess, animals
Okay.
or dogs per se.
All right. What kind of ball was it? Are we talking tennis ball, soccer ball?
It's about the size of maybe a soccer ball,
Okay.
or a soccer ball.
And how is it, you say it's attached to a rope?
Correct. It's tied to a rope that hangs from a tree limb.
So how do you, so I take it it's deflated because
It is deflated.
puncture the ball to get the rope inside.
That's
Is
correct.
that right?
That's correct.
And the rope goes all the way through the ball
That's correct.
and a knot on the other side of the ball?
I don't know if I saw a knot or not, but
Okay.
that sounds right.
And then the ball, describe the ball. Were there lots of holes in it?
I think we only noticed one hole.
Okay, was that the hole that the rope went through?
Well, it was like a big half the ball, like you cut the ball in half.
Okay.
That's how the hole looked.
Okay. Was there any blood or anything outside that you
No.
all noticed?
No.
Any blood on the rope,
None that we noticed.
on the ball?
No.
Okay. So other than those three items, was there anything else you found outside?
No.
Okay, so we've got 2 cell phones, a blanket, and a tether ball. All right, and the tether ball, was it laying on the ground? Was it tied to the tree? Where?
Tied to the tree.
All right. So at that point, tell me what your investigation led you to believe.
At that time, I mean, we still didn't have a theory of what happened. We were still investigating.
Okay. When you were in the basement, did you see feces on the floor?
I don't know if we actually saw it. We could definitely smell it, though.
Okay. So you would have remembered if you'd seen dog poo all over the place.
If I saw it everywhere, yes. I mean, it could have been in a couple of spots.
Okay. But you don't recall seeing any urine or pee on the floor downstairs?
No.
It just smelled like dogs?
Or and feces as well.
Okay. When you interviewed Mr. Cameron, where'd you interview him?
At Fulton County Jail.
Okay, do you remember what time that was?
It was late at night. It could have been around 11 or 12.
Okay. So did you go directly from searching the house to the jail to interview Mr. Cameron?
I went back to my office first.
Okay. Was there any, did you start filling out reports at your office? What happened then? What did you go back to the office for?
Take some items back, and after that, we went to Fulton County Jail. Me and Detective Griffin.
Okay, was there anybody else with you?
Yes, it was a dog behavioral specialist.
Okay, who was that?
I want to say his name was James Crosby.
Is he employed by the state? How do you know Mr. Crosby?
I got a call from Fulton County just saying he was going to meet me at Fulton County Jail.
Okay. Does he work for Fulton County? Do you know? Do you know anything about him?
I don't believe he works for Fulton County, no.
And give me his name again. I'm sorry.
James Crosby.
Okay. So you, Crosby, and who was the other detective?
Griffin.
Griffin. The three of you all interview Mr. Cameron?
Well, mainly it was Mr. Crosby did the whole interview.
Okay. There was no DA with you at all?
No.
Okay. What did Mr. Crosby ask Mr. Cameron?
Like I said, when he interviewed him, we really weren't right there when he talked to him. Mr. Cameron said that he would talk to him, but he didn't really want to talk to us. So we kind of stayed out of the way and let Mr. Crosby interview him. So I can't recall all the questions that he asked him.
Okay. Did Mr. Crosby share anything with you after his interview?
He stated that he talked to him. He gave us a brief synopsis.
Okay. What was that synopsis?
He pretty much said that, what I testified to earlier, saying that Mr. Tucker came outside, let the dogs outside in the back, and that he went in to take a shower to get ready for work, came back out, the dogs were gone, and had the Uber driver around looking for his dogs and everything.
Okay. Did Mr. Crosby talk to you anything about his expertise?
He did.
What did he tell you about his expertise in relation to this case?
He said at this time, he said he couldn't really make a judgment on anything until he actually interacted with the dogs.
Okay. Has he had a chance to interact with the dogs since that time?
He has.
Okay. Has he given you an opinion?
I was actually there, but he hasn't given his opinion from what he's gathered from his investigation out there.
Okay. So tell me when you all went out to interact with the dogs.
The dog listened to commands.
No, I want to know when that happened. When did you all go out there?
Let's see, this happened on Tuesday. We went out there on, I want to say that Thursday morning. Went out to Fulton County Animal Control.
Okay, who was there?
Myself, James Crosby, I think Assistant DA Jill Hollander, and it was two other ladies there. I don't recall their names.
Okay. What commands did he give the dogs?
He gave the commands of sit, stop.
Okay. And when you say stop, what were you expecting the dog to do when y'all say stop?
You expecting the dog to stop?
Stop what? What was he doing?
I guess moving. I guess if the dog started walking, you say stop.
Okay. Any other commands given to the dog?
I don't believe so.
So you all took a behavioral specialist out, and the only commands he gave the dogs were sit and stop.
As far as my knowledge, yes.
Okay.
I wasn't attentive the whole time they're doing he did this test.
Okay, and I'm kind of confused, because you all took the behavioral specialist, the dog specialist. You tell me to give you all an opinion as to whether these were dogs that were fighting dogs, right?
Right.
But you didn't hear him give the dogs any fighting commands.
I didn't know.
Okay. How long did he interact with the dogs?
Probably each dog was probably about 15 to 20 minutes each.
Okay. You got there when he went into the cage with the dogs?
Yes.
Did he have any problem walking into the cage?
No.
Did the dog attempt to attack him?
No.
Did it show any violent tendencies?
No.
Okay. Did it come up to him and lick him and wag its tail?
I didn't lick him. The dog looked like, I guess, it was in a nervous state, maybe.
Okay. Did he have to wear any protective gear to go into the cage with the dog?
No.
Did the dog bark at you all when you all got there?
The dog did bark a little bit.
Okay. Do you know who issued the citations in this case?
I don't.
Did you recommend citations be issued?
I did.
All right. Do you have a theory? You said you all work with theories. Have you formed a theory in this case as of today?
I haven't.
Okay. Have you disproven any of your theories as of today?
I have not. We still have an ongoing investigation, so I haven't disproved or dispelled or
Okay.
anything.
Do you have any evidence that would show that these dogs were mistreated?
At this time, no.
Okay. Have you collected anything that would show that these dogs were used in fighting?
I haven't.
Do you have anything that would show that they were not fed?
I don't.
Okay. Just 1 second, Judge. Detective Lowe, only a couple more questions. When we're talking about you all going to animal control and giving the dog commands, you all did that for both dogs?
That's correct.
All right. The two dogs that we're talking about are the black one. You've seen the photo. I don't know.
Where's State's Exhibit 1?
That's the dog that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the one that the commands were issued to?
That's correct.
And there was a second dog, is that right?
Yes.
Did you all go into that cage and issue commands to that dog as well?
That is correct.
All right. That second dog, When you all recovered that dog, was there any blood or anything on that dog?
I wasn't there when they actually recovered the dog, so I wouldn't know.
Okay. Has anybody given you an opinion on those dogs and their any medical opinion as to their abilities?
Mr. Tucker stated that his dog was born with a birth defect, and he's not allowed. Well, the dog cannot bite per se. I think he advised me that they feed it canned food, and that's pretty much all he told.
Okay. Did you verify that with you all's dog expert or with animal control?
He said the same thing.
When you say he, who are we talking about?
Mr. Crosby as well as animal control.
So they both looked at the dog and said, this dog is not capable of what it's been accused of.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what it's been accused of, first of all,
Okay.
what the other dog has been accused of.
So but that second dog, and you know the dog that I just showed you. Do you know that dog's name that I just showed you in Exhibit 1, States Exhibit 1?
Zeus,
Okay. And the second dog, to be clear, do you know that dog's name?
I believe it's Oogie.
Oogie?
Oogie.
Okay. So that we're clear on which dogs we're talking about. So, Oogie, you were told by animal control and the expert and Mr. Cameron, they all said the same thing, that dog had a birth defect
That's correct.
and it had problems with its mouth that it could not, they had to give it canned food.
Correct.
Okay. So animal control told you that dog was not capable of biting. Is that what they told you?
That's correct.
Okay. Does that, and it may be an obvious question, but does that help you with a theory as to whether that dog could be involved in an attack on a child?
It helps.
Okay, what would it lead you to believe?
That maybe this dog is incapable of biting anything or anybody.
Okay, what about your theory that these dogs were used in fighting?
Well, I never said that was my theory.
Okay, you said you all examine all theories. That's never been your theory. Is that what you're saying today?
I didn't say that, but you try to make it seem like I made.
No. Mr. Lowe, let me back you up. I do not want to put words in your mouth. So if I did that, I apologize. That is not my intent. I simply want to know if you have a theory that Mr. Cameron is a dog fighter.
I don't have a theory of that.
Okay? What's your next step in terms of collecting evidence?
As far as collecting, like I said, it's still ongoing. So I'd rather not say what we're going to do next as far as investigation-wise.
I understand. Were there any computers in the house?
We didn't find any, no.
Any VHS tapes?
No.
DVDs?
There were DVDs in the house,
Of what?
different movies and.
Okay. And you looked at those because you're looking for DVDs of dog fighting.
That's correct.
You didn't find those.
No.
Okay. That's it. I appreciate it.
Mr. Root, a redirect?
Briefly, next breed of dog is Mr. Tucker's dog, Zeus.
I want to believe it's a pit bull.
And did Mr. Tucker say anything about other dogs in the neighborhood?
He stated that there were a lot of stray dogs that also are around in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
May this witness be released?
Yes.
Any objection? No objection. Thank you, Detective. Yes, sir. Thank you. State's third witness?
State called Shamonte Clayton.
Jan, this doesn't have to be on the record. Jan, this doesn't have to be on the record. I'm just getting this notice. Individuals who are waiting on their notices for their next court date, have you received them yet? No? Okay. Could we call Mr. Thurman? Where? I know. Yes, either him or Mr. Becker. Can you call up Gayla McKee and find out where Miss Berman is? All right, let's resume. Sir, if you face the deputy, please, and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give to the court is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, sir.
You see it? And state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Shamonte Clayton. It's that J-M-O-N-T-A. Last name Clayton. C-L-A-Y-T-O-N.
Thank you. Mr. Root?
All right, thank you, Mr. Clayton, for coming to court today. And where do you currently live?
1316 Gideon's Drive.
I just ask you to speak just a little more into the microphone.
1316 Gideon's Drive.
All right, and are you familiar with Chickamauga Avenue?
Yeah.
And how far from Chickamauga Avenue is your house?
I mean, I stay a street off of Chickamauga. Gideon, Chickamauga is the main street. Gideon is the intersection off.
One second.
Just 1 second, sir. If you could direct the microphone, you can move it towards you from the top part. There we go. That way you can hear you clearly. Thank you. Could you repeat your last question?
Yes, are you familiar with Chickamauga Avenue?
Yes.
And how far from Gideon's Street is Chickamauga Avenue?
Chickamauga is the main street. Gideon is one of the streets off of Chickamauga.
So they intersect?
Yeah.
And are you familiar with Cerro Street?
Ciro, yeah.
And how far is Cerro Street from?
It intersects with Gideon's.
All right. And are you familiar with a incident that happened on January 17th, 2017?
Yeah.
And where were you when this incident happened?
When it initially happened, I was asleep.
Okay. And how were you awoken?
The screams,
And what type of screams were those?
children, eerie screams.
All right. And what did you do once you heard those screams?
I jumped up and acted. I ran to Cyril Drive where the incident had took place
And where did this incident take place?
on Cyril Street.
Okay. In the street?
No, in the middle.
In the middle of the road? Mm-hmm. And what did you see when you got to the middle of the road?
Sarai, which is the little girl on the ground, and the dog was constantly trying to get back to her.
And are you familiar with the deceased victim, Logan Bratz?
Yes,
And where did you see him anywhere?
yes.
Where did you see Logan?
Behind the abandoned house.
And so you went behind the abandoned house?
Yeah.
And what did you see behind the abandoned house?
Well, it was two abandoned houses. The first house, the group of kids that was they was on the back porch of there. So once we got it away from there, Logan was at the second abandoned house in the grass.
And what did you see? Did you see anything around Logan?
No,
How was Logan?
dead.
Okay. And you said you saw a dog. Can you describe that dog?
Black pit bull, whitish fur, right down his throat.
And had you seen this pit bull before?
Yeah,
Where had you seen it?
roaming the neighborhood.
And around the neighborhood, can you expand on that?
Say it again.
Can you expand on that?
On Gideon's Drive, on my street.
Had you seen him being walked by someone?
No, it's normally three of them that just run around.
Did they have leashes?
No,
So no one was supervising this pit bull? Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, you may.
In my hand, I have State's Exhibit 1. Please take a look at this picture.
yeah, that's
That
it.
picture.
Yeah,
Can you describe what's in that picture?
the main dog that was doing the attacking.
And is this the same dog you had seen running around before?
Yeah, that's the dog we chased up to this house.
Okay, but the dog, you said earlier you saw dogs running around the neighborhood?
Yeah,
Is that same dog?
yeah.
Okay. And about how many times have you seen this dog running around without a leash on?
I've seen about 4 times before.
And had you ever seen any owner for this dog?
No,
So you had no idea who owned it?
no.
And you said this is the dog that attacked. What do you mean by that?
When I woke up and ran to Cyril Street, this was the dog that was trying to get back to Sarai. Once I got there, we got it away from Sarai. It ran behind the house where Logan was. This was the dog.
And so after this dog ran behind the house where Logan was, did you pursue that dog?
Yes.
And when you got behind the house, did you see that dog? Where was the dog behind the house?
It had ran, like Logan's body was here, maybe 2-3 feet away. The dog was. So once the kids started saying that that's what Logan is, It chased the dog away from Logan's body and chased it actually to this house.
And approximately how long between going to Sarai and then going to Logan? About how much time was there?
2 minutes.
No further questions at this time, subject to redirect.
All right. Mr. Axum, your witness.
Mr. Clayton, I'm Tony Axum. If I put a question to you that you don't understand, I'm asking you to just stop me and ask me to clarify. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Okay. First, tell me, what do you do for a living?
I work in a warehouse.
Where is that?
IDN, International Distribution Network in Chambly,
Okay. How often do you work?
Monday through Friday.
Okay. What time?
I wake up at 7 o'clock. I have to be in at 9:30.
All right. And that's Monday through Friday, every week. It's a full-time job. Okay. So I want to talk with you first about dogs that you see roaming your neighborhood. Are there a lot of dogs that roam your neighborhood?
I've seen about 5
5 different dogs.
different dogs, yeah.
Okay. Describe them for me. Let's just start with the first one.
You have 3 pit bulls and it's 2 chihuahuas.
Okay. Those are the ones that you remember.
Yeah.
Are there any more than that?
No,
Okay. Any brown dogs?
a brown and white one,
Okay. And those would be which ones?
a pit bull.
Okay. So we've got a brown and white pit bull. What other color pit bulls do you see?
The black and white one and all black.
So you see a black and white one, and then you say all black, completely black.
It's completely black.
Okay. How about the Chihuahuas? What color are they?
Black and white and brown and white.
How big are these Chihuahuas?
I mean, they're lap dogs. They're tiny.
Okay. Can you show me with your hands how big? Okay.
All right, stand about that high,
Okay.
that big.
Any other breed of dogs? You've said it's just these 5 that you've seen roaming the neighborhood.
I mean, and also a Labrador, but he be with his owner.
Okay. I'm not concerned with the dogs that are on a leash walking with their owner.
Okay, well-
So you've never seen the Labrador loose?
No,
Okay. No Rottweilers in your neighborhood?
no,
All right. No heavier fur, like a shepherd type mix or anything like that?
no.
All right. When you say 4 times before, at least 4 times before, tell me the dogs that you saw 4 times before.
The 3 pit bulls and 2 chihuahuas.
Okay, so they're all together. When
No, the pit bulls are together. The 2 chihuahuas, they're the neighbor that's 2 houses up from me dog.
Okay, let's exclude the Chihuahuas for a minute.
It's the 3 pit
Let's
bulls.
just talk about the pit bulls. How many times have you seen them roaming the neighborhood?
About 4 times.
Okay. And it's all 3 of them together?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go through the first time you saw them. When was that?
I can't pinpoint the exact day because they don't come frequent. I have seen about 4 times the street that we come down. I guess they come from the top of that street and they come down. But the last time I seen was the night before when I had to pick my sister up from the bus stop because she seen the dogs and was scared.
Okay, so that was February 16th.
Say it again.
That would have been February 16th. I'm sorry, January 16th.
January, yeah, the night before.
So does your sister normally walk home?
Yeah. Well, she stays in. She's pregnant, but she'll get out, go catch the bus to the Walmart or something.
Okay, do you always pick her up from the bus stop?
No.
All right, so she called you because she saw dogs and she was scared.
She's terrified of animals, period. So
All right. And when you picked her up, what dogs did you see?
I didn't see the dogs right at the bus stop where I picked it up. It was back when I got on Gideon's Drive, our street. That's when I did see the dogs on the end of the street, the pit bulls.
All three of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So you said at least 3 other times you've seen these dogs. Let's just back them up. So you saw 3 the night before. Let's go back. Give me the next soonest time.
I
that
say
you saw.
before that, maybe a week before, they were coming down Zero Street.
And what did you see? You saw all those 3 pit bulls that you described.
Yeah.
Okay, so one's brown and white,
One's all
one's
black.
black and white,
And
and
one's
then
all
one is
black.
completely black.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got 2 more times that you say you saw these dogs. What are we talking? Within the past month? Are we talking a year ago?
I mean, over the time, probably within the last year up until now, is the complete time that I've seen them those 4 times.
Okay. Can you recall the next previous time that you saw them?
I can't pinpoint the exact date because I didn't pay any mind
Okay. Was it this year or was it last year?
last year,
Okay. Summer, Christmas,
the end of the year.
end of year? And then before that, it was recent, it was close to that period in time?
It could have been nice. I can't pinpoint the exact time because I didn't pay attention to it.
All right. Did you ever call anybody and let them know that y'all had dogs roaming the neighborhood? Did you make calls?
No.
Okay. Had your sister ever called you before to pick her up because there were dogs out?
No.
That was the first time?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about that morning, January 17th. What were you doing before you came outside?
Sleep.
Okay. And you heard yelling and screaming?
Yeah.
Okay. So you ran outside, and where did you go first?
I ran straight to Zero, the direction that the parents were running to.
Okay. What did you see?
Once I got to the door, once I got to Zero.
Well, let's start with the door. What did you see?
Once I got to the door, I seen the parents running to the end of the street.
Okay. And you didn't know what they were running for?
I thought, because there's a group of kids that actually walks together on the street, I thought one of them got hurt or hit by a car at the worst.
Okay. So you run down the street, and then what do you see when you get down there?
As I got to the end of Zero, looked to the left in the middle of the street. It was Sarai in the middle of the street, and one of the grandmothers, she was basically trying to lay over her to cover her because the black and white dog was still trying to get at her.
Okay. Was the black and white dog barking?
He was growling, barking, all of that.
Okay. Did you see him doing any biting? Or you just saw him standing over her barking?
He didn't bite, but he was trying to get to her.
Okay. You saw the dog open its mouth?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you characterize him, the dog trying to get to her? What would you call it?
As the grandmother was over Sarai's body, the dog was just snapping. He was trying to get at her. And by that time, as I'm running to the end of the street, I just immediately acted. I didn't wait or anything because this is an elder woman who's here. She can't completely protect her. So I just ran, grabbed a stick, and started swinging at the dog.
Okay. And what did the dog do at that point?
Started biting at the cane that I had.
Okay.
At the cane, I had a cane.
All right. When did the dog leave you?
I hit it at the 3rd time. I hit it on the side of his face. It took off and ran behind the first abandoned house where the rest of the other group of kids was.
Okay. Give me 1 second. All right, Mr. Clayton. The only dog you saw that morning was the black and white dog?
I saw 3.
Okay. Where did you see the other 2 dogs?
from where the position where Zero Street is and where the intersection where the attack actually happened, it's an open little field right there, and they were there.
Okay. And you saw the brown and white one? And you saw the completely black one? All right. Did they have blood on them? Can you describe them?
No, the brown and white one and the all black one, they were completely clean. It was the black and white dog. The all black one, when I got there, he took off. The brown and white one, he stayed around.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Root, do you have anything else to add?
Just briefly, Mr. Clayton, when you went behind the house at Sierra Street, how many dogs did you see around Logan Drive?
One.
And that's the black and white dog?
Yeah.
That's the dog you identified in the photograph?
Yes.
May the witness be released?
Yes, you may.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Clayton, thank you very much. You're pretty good. Anything else from the state?
Mayor.
All right. Mr. Axum, any evidence to present?
No.
All right. We'll address.
Sorry, Judge. No, actually, no.
All right. Mr. Root will address argument. Charges presently are involuntary manslaughter and reckless conduct. Are those the two charges you are proceeding with?
The same two charges. I'm not asking for any more charges.
Okay.
Your Honor, State asks that you find probable cause for those two charges because Mr. Tucker, the State, believes at this time is a reckless owner of his dogs. In the aggregate, all these things we've heard today about the dog collar, the lack of a dog collar, the previous bite by his dogs, showing he knew dogs are dangerous, the low fence that Detective Lowe testified to, which was between his waist and his knees, which for a dog that came up to Officer Duncan's knees is easily able to be jumped over. And additionally, what's most crucial here is that these dogs, according to Mr. Tucker, have been out before, unleashed. Mr. Clayton didn't even know who the dogs belonged to because he didn't see an owner for the dog he identified, which has been identified as Zeus. They got out the night before this incident happened when Logan Bratz lost his life. They got out the week before Logan Bratz died. I think it's clear that all these in the aggregate, taken together, show that Mr. Tucker is a reckless dog owner. One of these things by itself, the State would posit, is not a reckless dog owner. Just not having a collar for your dog doesn't mean you're reckless. Letting your dog out unattended in the backyard is not reckless. Your dog escaping once or twice is not reckless. But everything together, with no collar, knowledge that these dogs can attack, knowledge that they've gotten out before. He had to have known they've gotten out before on the street because they must have returned, unless he's so reckless as to let them out just play in the street, which would be even more reckless. Additionally, with knowledge that the dog has bitten before. His own previous dog has bitten him before, so he knows their attack. They can't attack. He left them alone. I mean, he's an experienced dog owner. He's owned dogs before. He's not a novice dog owner who, this is the first time it's happened where dogs have gotten out. He made a mistake by having a low fence. He should have known the fence was too low. He should have known these dogs got out. He should have known these dogs can't attack. We believe that at this time, it was immediately foreseeable that an injury would result as a condition of his ownership of these dogs. Like I said, in the aggregate, the lack of the low fence, the lack of a collar, them getting out frequently, and knowledge that dogs can bite unprovoked. Thank you.
Mr. Axum?
Judge, the State has brought two reckless counts and a felony manslaughter.
I'm sorry, could you repeat? Two reckless counts?
Two reckless counts of maintaining a dog. There are two counts of reckless conduct. And then I believe there's a one count for felony manslaughter. That's my understanding of the charges that Mr. Tucker is facing.
One count of reckless conduct, one count of involuntary manslaughter.
Okay, I stand corrected.
No, I just want to be sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. we've been at this for almost a month now. I do not want to make light of the gravity of what has happened at all. It has affected the community, it's affected my client and his family, and it has undoubtedly affected Logan Bratz and Sarai's families. It will take a long time to recover, and I do not want to make light of that. It's a very serious charge, and the consequences of what happened are very serious. That being said, Judge, we still have to follow the law. And to charge Mr. Tucker with a count of felony manslaughter based on the facts that are before this court does not make sense. No matter how much you push it, it does not make sense. The evidence, we've put up the detective. He's consulted a dog expert, and listen, I understand it's an ongoing investigation, but there's nothing else to collect. They've searched the house. They've got the phones. There is no evidence of anything unlawful to take this to felony manslaughter. There's absolutely no evidence of that. In the state's own words, it was reckless to let a dog into a fenced-in backyard with no collar on. I do not understand how the collar has anything to do with an unlawful act. It baffles me. If there was some evidence that Mr. Tucker did not care for his dogs, that he was mistreating them, that for some reason he was training them to fight, that he was somehow irresponsible in that manner, or doing something unlawful that we don't approve of in our community, but that's not what we've got. At best, we've got some family pets that got out of the fence and a tragic accident. There's no evidence of dog fighting. There's no evidence of malnourishment. There's no evidence that they were self-medicating the dogs with drugs to make them aggressive. There are absolutely no complaints about this family and their dogs in the 2 years that they lived at this address. The expert, even based on the testimony, the expert goes into the fence and the dog is not aggressive and responds to normal commands that you would give to a family dog. Sit, stay, that's it. Judge, I'm not going to rehash and go through the descriptions of the dogs that were seen at the incident and the discrepancies, but there are clearly some discrepancies. We're talking about 3 dogs. None of those 3 were described. Mr. Tucker owns 2. Nobody has come forward and described the second one that was out that day. Nobody has. The point that I'm making is reckless does not equal unlawful. There are 2 parts to that statute. One is that he has performed some unlawful act that led to the manslaughter. We don't have that. We've got, at best, at most, the only evidence that's been presented is that there may be some reckless conduct. And we don't even have that yet, because everything that's been presented is that Mr. Tucker was responsible. As soon as he learned his dogs were out, he went looking for them. As soon as he learned they were out. There was, and I just need to clean it up a little bit, it was proposed by the state that Mr. Tucker was bitten by these dogs before, and I don't want to mischaracterize it, but Mr. Tucker's never been bitten by these dogs before, and these dogs have never bitten anyone before. We're talking about previous dogs that he owned, and when he learned that they had violent tendencies, he put them down. Well, put one of them down. One of them was a botched surgery when they tried to spay the dog. The dog bled out when they tried to spay it. And not Mr. Tucker, but the vet. So Mr. Tucker is not an irresponsible dog owner. Everything that has been presented to the court by the state, no matter how they try to characterize it, has been he is responsible. But it is a tragic accident. And for that, Judge, the most that the state should charge, the most that has been presented here, if we look at just preponderance of the evidence, is that it might be reckless, but there has been nothing presented that says he's done anything unlawful. That's it, Judge. I would ask and plead with the court to follow the letter of the law. And that evidence hasn't been presented. It's been 2 weeks. The court asked, bring in your evidence next week. We were here, we were geared up, we objected last week to this being continued. Bring in the evidence this week. Nothing new has been presented. It's the same facts we went over last week. And there is no unlawful act. We've had the lead detective on the stand. He says, look, not my theory that he's a dog fighter. He says, I hadn't ruled it out. And I understand that there are cameras here, the media's here, and they're not going to divulge their case and give us everything. But he was real clear. That's not his theory. He was real clear that Mr. Tucker has cooperated him, told him everything that happened that day. So, Judge, I implore the court to follow the law and reduce the charge against Mr. Tucker. He should not be charged with felony involuntary manslaughter.
Okay. Mr. Root?
I have to briefly address that this is a felony manslaughter case. There is abundant precedent. I'd like to point to this case of Turnip Seed versus the state, TURNIPSSED versus the state. That's 186, Georgia Appellate 278. In that case, the defendant, the Georgia Appellate Court upheld the finding of felony involuntary manslaughter when a dog got out and bit another child. Found that defendant who owned that dog guilty of felony manslaughter because the defendant in that case knew that there were violent tendencies of the dog and did not maintain the care of that dog in the proper way.
With respect to that specific animal in question?
Yes.
Okay. And the state's argument is that because the defendant has been previously bitten by an animal that's not involved in this case,
He knew that dogs can bite out of the blue, and additionally, there's a low defense, no collar, and the dogs had gotten out before, which showed his reckless conduct. Like I said, not just one of those, but all of those, and the aggregate showed that he was his reckless conduct.
okay.
Judge, Turnip Seed is not on point. Look at the facts of Turnip Seed. These were very large dogs. They were dogs that had attacked. The specific dogs had attacked previously. They had gotten out and had been roaming the neighborhood that day and attacked some people that day. This is not that case. Okay? In Turnip Seed, we're talking about dogs that had all sorts of altercations with neighbors, residents that have been reported, we knew about it. That's not what we have here.
All right. This is one of the few cases that it appears that something stemming from something as simple as ownership of a pet can evolve into such a horribly tragic end. There's nothing more difficult than the death of a child to deal with. But based on the law, based on the evidence that's been presented so far to date, I am going to find probable cause for the charge of reckless conduct. There's evidence that the animal in question by the name of Zeus has been on the loose on at least 4 prior occasions, apparently. The court is also very concerned with the alleged low height of the fence as described by the detective, and the fact that those were the 2 primary factors that raises serious concerns as to the alleged negligence on the part of the owner, Cameron Tucker, with his ability to restrain his animals and keep them confined within the perimeters of his home. this raises sufficient probable cause to support a charge of reckless conduct. The courts also found sufficient probable cause that Mr. Tucker, in the commission of a lawful act, that is the ownership and care of his pets, he has done so in a grossly negligent way, as indicated by the charge of reckless conduct, which apparently causes the death of another human being without any intention to do so. This is sufficient to charge Mr. Tucker with misdemeanor involuntary manslaughter. And those are the two charges that the state can either keep with the district attorney's office or transfer to the state court. Mr. Rood, what would the state like to do?
Keep these charges out.
All right. These are the two charges that will remain with the district attorney's office pending an indictment. We will then proceed to the question of bond. Mr. Axum, you indicated you wanted to renew your motion for a bond.
I do, Judge.
Yes, let's continue.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. You may continue.
In support of that motion, I plan to call two witnesses. I would like to call Mr. Brian Haynes first. I would also like to submit to the court, I have filed this with the clerk of the state, but it is an affidavit from Mr. Tucker, just explaining the savings and his job. That's it. Simply
All right.
says, but it is filed with the court. I have a courtesy copy here for the court. Mr. Rood has a copy of this, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Axum. All right, we have this affidavit, and I have my information and notes from the previous hearing we had in which Mrs. Tucker had testified with regards to the reasons why you believe bond should be reduced or modified to a signature bond. All right, you're a witness, and he is...
Mr. Brian Haynes.
Mr. Haynes, please come forward. Mr. Haynes, if you please have a seat here. Please raise your right hand. Deputy, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give to the court is the truth and all the truth?
I do.
Proceed. You please say spell your first and last name for the record.
That's Brian Haynes, BryanHaynes.
Mr. Haynes, I'm not going to keep you long. Tell me, how do you know Cameron?
I know Cameron when I hired him approximately 4 years ago at our recycling company here in Atlanta.
Okay, so let me back up. Tell me what you do.
We are a paper and book recycler based in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. And so roughly 4 years ago you met Cameron. Did he come in? How did you meet him?
I believe he came in, it was either a relative of his worked for me or he came in with some other folks looking for work. We started him off at an entry-level position. He showed natural leadership, hard worker, excellent attitude, and he rose through the ranks over the years to his current position, operations manager.
Okay. So when you hired him as the entry level, is that hourly?
That was an hourly position.
Okay. And within 4 years, he was your operations manager, and he was still hourly?
He was salaried at that point
Okay.
with bonus.
And that was up until when?
Up until last month when this incident occurred.
All right. So what happened to his job after last month?
Last month, we held out as long as we could. Operations manager, he was the guy that, the glue that kept everything together. It left a large hole, so he had some big shoes to fill. But we eventually had to replace his position with another hire, simply because it was just such an essential role in the company.
If he was granted a bond that he could make, Is there a position still for him at your company?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. With his attitude and his work ethic, I've had lots of people over the years that have worked for me. I mean, he's one of the best employees, hands down, that have ever worked for our company.
All right.
Just a solid person.
Okay, when you say solid, has he ever lied to you?
He's never lied. He'll never tell you no. He can't do something. He never has a bad attitude. He's just a can-do, get-it-done kind of person.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Root, do you have any questions to ask of the witness? Mr. Haynes, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. Anything else, Mr. Axel?
No, Judge, I think with your notes from last week, you heard from his fiance. I will end it there.
Thank you. Mr. Root?
What I have from last week, I don't see any criminal history for Mr. Tucker. I don't see any previous violations. As to his caring for the dogs, obviously this is regrettable. We do have to oppose any bond in this case. We do ask that appropriate conditions be applied for, including ownership of dogs while this case is in its pendency.
All right. On the misdemeanor involuntary manslaughter, the bond is going to be $35,000. It will be a signature bond through the jail. On the reckless conduct, it will be a $35,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. He will report to pretrial once every 2 weeks. Mr. Tucker is not to have any firearms or weapons in his home, on his person, in any car, in any vehicle he occupies, or anywhere near him. And he's not to have any pets, any animals, any canine or feline animals in his home whatsoever. Thank you. All right. Mr. White and Mr.
Judge, do you know if he's brought up?
I've been told they were brought up, so.
What's that?
The fans might talk. I need somebody with like you or Chuck.
Why don't you call Chuck? I'm working on dubbing these cards. You want me to do that? So nobody else will get them before us? He's down there doing nothing right now. Yes. He's with his camera. I gotta go get him. Chris, let me get it when you can. Thank you, bro.